Hey crew, yes, what you're seeing on screen is real. Infinite throwing knives, but not just your regular, normal throwing knives. They are literally nukes, and on top of that, you can chain those nukes to other enemies. It's pretty dang crazy, and man, are those explosions strong and fun to watch. In a minute here, I will show it in the dungeon as well, so you can see it there. But the other day, I was playing with Rob and Grim, and we were testing some things out, and Grim decided to set this thing up, and he said, okay, watch this, guys. So me and Rob were like, okay, what's this guy going to show us? Because Grim normally doesn't show us the best of things. And it just killed every single enemy on the screen. So me and Rob both couldn't believe it, and I was like, what the heck did you do, Grim? Show me how you set this up and what's going on here. Then he proceeded to spam it over and over at mobs of enemies in the new Nightmare Containment event, and it was just awesome to see. An infinite throwing knife, dropping nukes left and right, and chaining those ignites, those nukes to other enemies. And that's basically what this build revolves around. It is all about keeping restoration and radiant up all the time, and making our throwing knives hit like a truck, and then chain those nukes over and over, those ignites, to beefier enemies. Then we'll add in a bunch of mods, and to be honest, at the base of this build, it still works perfectly fine with the exotic and the right fragments that you choose and aspects to set it all up. You'll still get those nukes off, they'll still explode, and the build will work just perfectly fine. But if you throw in 2 mods from the artifact, it just puts the build over the top, right? It adds that insane survivability and adds even more explosions to it. So the extra mods we're going to throw on is for our neutral game, right? It's for our weapon bonuses, our survivability, and to take the build as far as we can take it. If you're new to the channel and found this video enjoyable, then make sure to hit that subscribe button for me and become part of the crew here. And to all of you that have become members of the channel over the last couple weeks, thank you guys so much. It means a lot that you have chosen to help support me, and there are over 150 of you now, so thank you so much. It means more than you know. To anyone who wants to become a member, just hit that join button or the link in the pinned comment, and you'll get some awesome perks and badges and emotes. So thank you if you choose to do so. I really appreciate it. So the exotic and how it works and the fragments and aspects are super important because that's what makes the big nukes. And then the mods is our survivability and our bonus to our weapon and our neutral gameplay. So pay attention to everything if you want the build to work correctly. So for the solar subclass, you want to be using Blade Barrage, of course. Best super for the hunter in the game right now. Make sure you're using it, take advantage of it. Put on Gambler's Dodge, so you dodge near an enemy, you get that melee ability back, so we can refund our melee if we miss something. And then the knife you want to be using is Proximity Explosive Knife. Throw a knife that attaches to a surface upon impact and explodes when it detects a nearby target. And this is going to play into our exotic. Use whatever grenade that you feel like using. And then for your aspects, we want to be running Knock 'em Down. For our Blade Barrage, launches more projectiles, so we get that bonus. And then while radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. For your second aspect, we're using On Your Mark. This is mainly to fit all the fragments in that we want to fit for this build, and it does give us some nice bonuses. Precision final blows grant you and nearby allies increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration, stacks 3 times. And activating your class ability immediately grants maximum stacks of On Your Mark. So we're going to be dodging around a lot anyways for a couple mods that we have on and getting our melee back. So you're activating this right away, and it's a nice little bonus to swap back and forth between weapons. We really haven't used this aspect very much. For the fragments, you want to be using the 2 new fragments that we just got unlocked a couple days ago. Ember of Empyrean, Solar Weapon, or Ability Final Blows extend the duration of Restoration and Radiant. So we're becoming Radiant, and we're going to have Restoration with this build. And every time we throw that knife and get the explosion of kills, it's going to jump it instantly to 12 seconds total. So you'll have 12 seconds basically all the time to either get a kill with your throwing knife or to get a kill with your weapon. And as you can see, the throwing knife can get every kill we need. The next one is Ember of Char. Your solar ignition spreads Scorch to affected targets. This is important because it's how we spread the Scorch and how we spread the ignition to make the double ignitions go off on targets that actually survive the initial ignition. So as you saw in the gameplay, when the witches died, or when the ogre died, or when like the bellkeepers died, right, in the dungeon, that's how they died, is because we spreaded enough Scorch that they ended up igniting and doing another explosion. And then on our next one is Ember of Eruption. Your solar ignitions have increased area of effect, so we're making those bigger. And then we have Ember of Ashes. You apply more Scorch to targets, so more Scorch stacks on those targets that's being spread from our ignitions from Ember of Char. And then lastly, we have Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. So the little gameplay loop you want to be doing just as far as the subclass go and the exotic is when you enter any activity, you want to dodge because that's going to give you restoration. We'll go over that in a second. And then you want to throw your melee and you become radiant. So your dodge and melee, that makes you radiant and restoration. And then you're feeding radiant and restoration with Empyrean. You're spreading Scorch with Char. Okay, your ignitions are bigger with Ember of Eruptions. And then you're applying more Scorch on top of Char when it's spreading, and then that's going to make the ignitions go off even more. So that's kind of the way you want to play the build. Dodge, throw the melee, and then the cycle repeats itself. And then as far as your weapons go, Callus Mini Tool, something with Incandescent is really nice. I actually got the Grave Robber Incandescent roll. Super nice because every time I throw that melee, it reloads my weapon, which is just really nice. I need to get used to actually taking advantage of it because I'm so used to reloading now, and on your mark makes it super easy to reload, right? So I need to take advantage of it more. But if you guys have any weapons with Incandescent, it really helps because that can spread Scorch to other targets as well while you're using it. Then for your heavy and your primary, use whatever you want, whatever your activity you're doing. In the gameplay, I was using a linear fusion rifle for DPS for the boss. Now for the armor over here, the exotic is Caliban's Hand. This is a new exotic this season. If you don't have it, just wait till it is Arms Day in the Lost Sector. I believe actually when this video is released on the morning, you'll have about 5 hours where the Lost Sector is still available for arms on the Hunter and the Titan, as a matter of fact, for the new gauntlets. So you'll have a couple hours when you see this video if you do want to go in there and get it then. But in a few days from now, it'll just rotate back around and you'll be able to get them. The Lost Sectors are on different planets. Just look up today's Lost Sector in Destiny 2 and you guys will be able to find them. The exotic perk here is Roastum. Your proximity knife scorches targets it damages with its explosion. So when you throw the knife and it just lands on the ground, it'll scorch targets with the explosion if it's near them. But the second part is Aura ignites targets on direct hit. So every time I throw the knife, it should just, on a direct hit, when I hit somebody, it should just instantly ignite. Unfortunately, this isn't the way it's working. It's just scorching. So when I hit like the Ogre boss in the Lost Sector or I hit a Bellkeeper, it would just scorch them. It would not ignite them. But when I get a kill with this throwing knife, for whatever reason, when I get a kill with it, it will ignite the target and then spread the ignition around to other enemies because of the way we have the subclass set up. So basically, you want to make sure that you're killing something when you throw it. You can't just do damage to something because I know it says ignites targets on direct hit, but you need to get the kill. The kill is what caused the ignition and then sets the whole chain off. I'm pretty sure it's a bug, and hopefully they fix it where it's just on direct hit because, man, if it's on direct hit, there's a lot of different things we're going to be able to do with that. But anyways, the last part is after throwing proximity knife, you gain increased melee regeneration until the knife explodes. So if you do throw it and miss, you'll get an increased regeneration speed and the knife ends up coming back in like, I don't know, 12, 13 seconds. But we're just using our dodge to get it back quicker. For the mods on here, we have Font of Might. So we're going to pick up a Solar Well to get an extra 25% weapon damage buff on our solar weapon we're using. We also have grants Focusing Strike here. Grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack. Because we're throwing our melees over and over and causing that damage, we're feeding back into our class ability to get it back up quicker, because the quicker we have it, the more we can dodge for restoration and the more we can dodge for an extra knife. I do have 61 mobility. I wish this was 100 if I could do it. 100 resilience to add for that damage resistance, and the rest of the stats what you need. But definitely 100 resilience, 100 mobility would be awesome. On the helmet, I had elemental time dilation. That way we're making Font of Might last longer and Wall of Life. Yes, you only need one elemental time dilation and it will push your one mod of Font of Might up to 15 seconds and it'll push Wall of Life up to like 13 seconds. So a very nice mod. Rapid, we have Harmonic Siphon here. Rapid weapon final blows with the damage type matching your subclass creative Orb Power. So we're making Orb Power with killing enemies with a solar weapon. And then I just had a sword ammo finder here. You could also slot in here rapid stasis weapon final blows, create an aura power. So if you're using something like Deliverance or the new fusion rifle, that stasis is also really good. And then on the chest, we are going with melee well maker. So this is how we're making our well. This is when we get that melee kill. A couple damage reduction mods here. On our boots, you're going to run Well of Life for extra healing. And if you don't have restoration, this will help you. And then we're also running Innervation to get some grenade cooldown when we pick up those orbs of power, because you should be making a lot of orbs of power with your weapon when you are using it. And then on our class item, we're using Class C Restoration. I'm actually going to slot this in right here because that'll might mess up my dim, as some people have pointed out. Class C Restoration, activating your solar class ability grants you restoration. So we're getting our 2x healing all the time, right? And we're extending that with Empyrean, the fragment. Then we're also using solar fulmination. Your ignitions do increased damage in an increased radius. Now, this does make the explosions bigger. I've tested it with and without it, and I really do think it's bigger with it. But you can hurt yourself with this, and you can kill yourself with this if you're close to it and you're weak. Luckily, we're using throwing knife. We're kind of far away from the enemies most of the time. But if you are right up on them and you throw that and it explodes right on you, you might die. So just be ready for that. If you guys have any other questions or anything regarding the build, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to answer them for you. The best place to reach me is over in the Discord, obviously, because I see those way more often. Sometimes YouTube comments get buried unless I see that you're a member and I see that skull next to your name. It's easier for me to see it that way too. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. This is a fun build. It's for fun gameplay. The dungeon wasn't the master dungeon. It was just the normal dungeon that we were running and farming weapons on. So it's to enjoy yourself, have a fun time, enjoy the build, and just see a throwing knife cause that nuke. It's pretty dang fun to see it. And let's be real, most of the content you run in the game is general content. It's not endgame content. And I've done a lot of endgame builds already. So this one I wanted to make because it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it's just cool to see that throwing knife do what it does. Hope to see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.